welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a sewing tutorial, and you don't even need a sewing machine, so that makes it even better because I know some people don't have one. I'm super excited for this project, and so is my husband, because I'm going to show you guys how to turn regular sized neckties into skinny ties. My husband has a bunch of these just from growing up. For before skinny ties were in, before they were trendy. And he never wears these because he only wears the skinny ties now, but he also doesn't want to get rid of them. So the solution to that is just to convert all his fat ties into skinny ties. And it's actually really easy. It just takes a little bit of time to do. So that's what I'm going to show you guys how to do today. So I'm just going to start with a tie that he wants me to make skinny for him. The great thing about this is everything is right here. Like, you literally don't need to go buy any fabric or any other type of material. All you need is scissors and some thread and an ironing board. That's really all you need. So I'm first just going to, most ties are just hand sewn down the middle. And so I'm just going to start by taking that apart. So just with some scissors, I'm just going to go down the middle and just kind of rip all of the threads out. Okay, so I've undone the middle stitching all the way up the tie, and I'm going to take out the lining, and this is really the only thing we are going to cut is the lining. Oh, some of it's still tied in here. Okay, this is also awesome that we already have this, because if you're making your own tie, the lining is such a pain to cut out. So this is what we're going to work with. The lining is kind of what determines the size of the tie, because it's what makes the tie thick, and the tie just kind of forms the shape over the lining. So the only thing we have to do is determine how skinny you want your tie, and that's how much you're going to cut off from the lining. So there's some skinny ties that are 2.5 inches in width, and then like super skinny, like my husband likes, are only 2 inches. So that's what I'm going to do, 2 inches. And so since I want this to be 2 inches wide, I know I just need to take 1/2 inch off of each side, because this is 3 inches wide right now. And if you look at it, tie linings, they kind of taper down up into a point when it's all like right here, all the way down, it's going to be the exact same size. So when I'm going to cut it, I'm only really cutting from here to here, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and taper it down so it's just kind of even on both sides as I go. Really the only important thing is getting the 2 inches in width here, and then just kind of tapering it down until it matches the rest of the tie, if that makes sense. So I just have a cutting mat and a rotary cutter because it's easier than just with scissors, but you can definitely use scissors if you don't have this. And my mat has kind of a grid ruler on it, so that's what I'm going to use to measure out how much to cut off. But you could also just use like a regular ruler and make a little line on the tie to know where to cut. It's up to you. And you can just kind of eyeball it to make sure the lines are straight. If you think you didn't get the point completely even on both ends, that's the hardest bit for me. A trick is you can fold it in half and line up the corners, and then just take your scissors and make a clean cut like this diagonally, and then your point of the tie will be exactly in the middle. That's all you have to do for the lining. Now we just have to reassemble the tie. That's really, it's a really easy DIY. I'm just going to put the lining back into the tie, make sure that the 2 points are lined up evenly. Okay, so I have my lining back in the tie. The creases currently on the tie are still in that original fat tie shape. So at least for the part that I cut, I'm going to have to just take an ironing board and re-iron the tie down to make creases against the lining that we just made. So make the 2-inch tie instead of the 3-inch. At the bottom, since we didn't cut anything, the creases there are going to be the same, so that's nice. I'm right-handed, so that's probably why I do it this way. So if you're left-handed, it may be easier doing it a different way. But I line my tip of the tie to my right, and I'm going to start ironing with this side furthest from me. And so I'm just going to just with my finger, find where the lining is in the tie and fold that over. And the hardest part, for me at least, is making sure the point is going to be symmetrical. So before I iron that down, I'm just going to take the inside, the other side, and find the lining and bring that over just to see like how the lining is in there right now. It's lopsided, so I know I need to adjust the lining before I iron it down. I just don't want to make too many creases that I'll have to redo. So I'm just going to adjust my lining in there a little bit, do that again, crease it down, find the lining, bring the other side in. That's a little better. And then I just kind of adjust it until it looks right. And then once it's in the shape I want, then I iron that down. Okay. I'm just going to iron that in place so that it's perfectly symmetrical, or at least as good as I can get it. And then I'm going to reflip the side closest to me back over, and I'm just going to work with this side farthest from me. And I'm just going to iron the tie down up against this new lining all the way down the tie. So next I'm going to take the side closest to me and do the exact same thing. This top layer, if it's not already, you'll need to just take the very edge and make a little hem, just like 1/2 inch or so. You could probably do more since we have more fabric to work with, since we skinnied the tie. But you'll just need to take this raw edge and fold it down a little bit, and then re-iron that all the way down just so that it's a clean line. So this looks pretty good. I'm just going to go over it one more time with my iron to make sure all the lines are creased, and I'm going to go ahead and iron the rest of the tie down again, just to make sure these edges are nice and crisp for when you have to sew it up. Yay! This is seriously so much easier than making a tie. So yeah, this is awesome! Okay, so it's all nice and pressed, and the last step is just re-sewing it up. So the one part on every tie that will probably be a little different is the keeper, this little piece on the back. Mine is not a very good one, so I'm just going to have to sew something else into the back when I'm done, which is not a big deal. But sometimes there's like a nice keeper in the back that's already sewn into the fabric. So you can just like snip half of it off when you're deconstructing it and keep half of it sewn on. And then when you're sewing it back up, you'll just have to re-sew one side on. That's ideal. Mine wasn't very good, so I'm just gonna have to re-sew something else on the back. But yeah, that's the only part that may be different on every tie that you do. Okay, so now I have my thread and needle, and I'm just going to do a slip stitch all the way up the middle of the tie so that you can't see the thread. And this is honestly the most time consuming part of all this. So it just takes some patience. And when you're stitching this up, you just want to make sure that your needle doesn't go through the tie. When I first started doing this, I would make that mistake sometimes, and I'd look at the front of the tie and you could see my stitch, and that was like, ah, dang it. So yeah, I kind of just always have my finger down where I'm stitching it up to make sure that it doesn't go through the outside of the tie. But yeah, I'm just gonna sit here for like 10 minutes and stitch this tie back up. Okay, then once you're done sewing your tie up, you can just tie a knot at the end and cut off your thread, and you are done! Yay, it's so skinny! There we go. I don't know if you can even tell like the difference, but it is now a 2-inch width skinny tie. Okay, ready?
Yeah, what am I doing?
I have a present for you.
Oh boy. Wow.
Do you like it?
You have skinnied one of my ties.
Yeah.
It actually looks really good. I really like it. More often than never.
Success.
Cool. All the honeys at work are gonna love this tie.
Oh yeah. You don't wear ties at work.